We do have some tough news when it comes to Christian Pulisic. It was confirmed by AC Milan that he will be out until at least January with what's a torn muscle in his right calf. Not the best news after what we've seen from Pulisic lately, Casey, when it comes to especially the Champions League with Milan.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of holding a little bit in, reserved, waiting to see kind of where this goes. I'm hoping that it's just one of those, 3 to 6 weeks back in, straight back into the side, back rolling, and I hope it's not something that lingers and looms, because it's always been that little stigma on Christian, is that ability to stay fit for a long period of time. And his time at AC Milan has been phenomenal. That he's been on the pitch and he's been, a major contributor. And so we know that injuries are part of the game, and you know that you're going to be knocked out here and there. Now, can it be knocked out for just those few weeks and get straight back into rhythm?
Yeah, because one thing is that it could impact him when it comes to the season in general, but could it impact him in a future negotiation?
Always, because we don't know how these things. Hopefully, it's just a muscular injury that runs its course and you're back and healthy. But sometimes these things can linger; they can become chronic, and hopefully that's not the case. Now, there's never an ideal time to get injured. Nobody wants to get injured. But certainly if you had to choose, this isn't such a bad moment. You think about it. You're going to have the winter break coming up. There's no national team games of importance until, March? So technically, if Christian Pulisic were to get injured this time in Milan, this would be good timing, if you will. And listen, it's bound to happen. I don't care if you're Christian Pulisic, if you're a young kid that's starting your career, or if you're Rodrigo, Vinny, or any insert name here. It's part of the deal today with these stars. That's what they do. They play so many games, and it's the conversations that we've been having with the congested schedule and what these players have to go through nowadays. So I'm glad that he's getting it sorted. I'm glad that he'll be okay. It's nothing crazy.
Yeah, it's not an ACL.
It's not a structural injury.
Yeah.
So that is good. Now, future negotiations, you bring that up because his name's been reported for Liverpool. There's certainly been heavy reports about a future transfer fee could command and how good he's been with Milan.
We just saw the list of injuries as well.
We just saw the list of injuries. So maybe, but Case, you were talking about it earlier. This isn't like Chelsea where you had a coincident situation and prove yourself all over again. Christian Pulisic's
he's established.
He's established.
Very established.
In the team.
Yeah,
star in the team.
Established star. But I think, the difference when you talk about kind of the future side of it, there's no question that managers, sport directors, they talk about a player that if we're going to make a commitment, we have to know that he's going to be on the pitch. And if there is a history and they can't rely based off of a history that you're going to be fit for 80, 90% of the matches, it definitely falls into transfer conversations when they start looking at different players. Hey, we really like him when he's fit, but we can't count on him week in and week out. And now that's why I hope it's just a couple games, break, straight back in the team, and it was just a little thing, not a 13-match, 15-match like you saw on that list.
He only missed 2 league games last season.
Correct. That's valid.
So when
valid.
we try to find out why Christian Pulisic has been a success when he moved to Italy, that's just the reality. It's been a successful move. It's because he's been a regular. He's been available for the team. And when he's available, he has the quality to perform well.
And he did at Chelsea.
He did at Chelsea as well.
100%.
Sometimes the manager didn't count on him for different reasons.
But you look at the numbers.
That's why he made a move. And you look at the numbers, and the guy has delivered. Now, he's over 50 games in the calendar years. So this is basically playing once a week with no vacations whatsoever. Yeah. And we talk about this, remember, when he or Mauricio Pochettino decided that he was going to skip that game against Mexico. And we said, players sometimes know themselves a little better. Managers, in this case Mauricio Pochettino, is trying to protect his player. And I'm not saying that injuries are going to happen.
Correct.
Regardless. Now I want to see how he's going to bounce back. I feel like you're not supposed to lose your place as a starter because of an injury, especially when you're playing to the level that he's playing at right now. but you always got to be very, very cautious and see how he bounces back after this injury.
Yeah, doesn't have to prove himself, as you said, with AC Milan. Doesn't have to prove himself with the U.S. men's national team with that calendar. That works in his favor, too. There's not a game until March, as you said. But when it comes to the impact now for Milan, who we see are still fighting for those Europa League places and looking up at Fiorentina as well, how much does this impact the team itself? 5 goals, 4 assists in Serie A so far for him.
If you're Paulo Fonseca, you're kicking yourself because one of your more consistent players won't be available for you. You've mentioned the star power. You've mentioned how good he's been. The reality is he's an important piece for this team and their aspirations. I was going to say to win the league, but you can look at that standings just to actually make European positions here. So it's a different situation for Christian Pulisic to be involved in because when he was at Chelsea, for whatever insert reason here, it was a volatile situation. It's a team that went through countless multiple managers, all kinds of different players. It was a rotating door, if you will, of players coming
Managers
in and out.
And ownership.
and always a new manager trying to buy new players
Correct.
to put his stamp on.
In case, I'm sure you went through this.
Yeah.
I'm sure you went through this. After every single setback, he'd have to prove himself. It's an American proving themselves
100%.
in Europe.
Still.
And in a big stage, a big platform like Chelsea, it was just always trying to play catch-up. That's not the case at Milan. He's established, he's loved, he's counted on, dependable. So it's going to be something for him to get back in time to help his club, escalate in those standings.
Yeah, he's evolved, so he's not in any rush necessarily, Mount, to get back. Like he is, but he isn't, right?
I mean, you're right. No rush is key here in a lot of different senses, right? Because of his history. You want him to be patient. You want the club to be patient. But I'm sure that time comes and Paulo Fonseca has to make a decision. And he goes, there's no other player like Christian Pulisic at AC Milan right now. Even though Chukwueze was signed at the same time for the same money, and the expectation was they were going to play the same position. Christian Pulisic has played right wing, left wing,
Center.
false 9, and he's delivered. So they don't have a player like him. And if they're fighting for a top 4 spot, maybe Paulo Fonseca will say, listen, my guy, this is European soccer at the highest level. If you're 85%,
for sure,
I gotta count on you.
Yeah, but if you've seen Milan play this season, there are a few dependable players that Paulo Fonseca can really depend on day in, day out. I think Christian Pulisic is in that side of the
Absolutely.
Yep.
So maybe, and knock on wood, this does not happen, but at some point AC Milan is gonna say, I know you gotta take care of yourself, but if the doctor's clear to play,
correct,
you will play.
Well, I think, and that's also too, I think Christian getting older and understanding, kind of his own situation, and to say, okay, because I think we've all, look, I mean, I count on one hand a season when I'm not feeling something. While
You're never
I'm playing.
100%.
You're never.
No.
And you almost feel weird when you are. It's like there's that one game I feel 100%. And you're like, okay, what's wrong?
Right.
Why do I feel 100% here? So, but you have to also recognize when you have something and you go, I'm not going to hurt that any worse. It's just pain. I can deal with the pain.
Manage, yeah.
Get a little spritz here, or a couple tablets there, and we're good to go. And then we'll battle through it, and we'll get some ice, and I'll train a little less during the week and get ready for the next match. And so hopefully Christian's got to that point, and then it's like I said, it's
timing's on his side here. I mean, anytime there's an injury to a national team player, you immediately go national team. And if it's not an established player, you start thinking, how can this affect them in the club situation? I don't think it's a situation where it affects them in neither. It's a situation where you get your body sorted out and you come back and it's like riding a bike.
But I love the point that you talked about, though, because you want a player who has done so well for a big club to continue to be in the conversation we're having. That he's a regular starter, he's a guaranteed starter, and not only a starter, but a star. And one that the fans are just really excited about, so much so that other clubs are talking about him.
It's been a consistent 18 months for Christian.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why you want that to continue. And because to me, everything with national team is based on club success.
Last comment. You're good?
No, I was just gonna say, in terms of rush, he's fine with the national team and the club. I'm concerned just for his health, right? don't rush your return if you don't feel like you're 100%.
Yeah, and with that comes the maturity, right, of knowing your body, of being patient, especially when it comes to looking for another consistent 18 months, thinking about the next World Cup and still being a star for the U.S. men's national team.